welcome to Canyonlands National Park in Utah. It's about 75 miles, 127 kilometers, something like that, from where I was, from the previous park. And I just got here, stopped off at the ranger station to get advice on hikes, etc. I'm going to do a 4 kilometer, 2.5 mile hike now, and then another really short one after that. I also stopped off at the campground here, which I'll show you a bit later. Really good thing I did stop there first, because you can't reserve there. It's first come first served, and I got the last available campsite, and it's pretty nice. It's about 8 or 9 miles outside the camp, so I'm very happy about that. Right, let's start the trail. Should mention the trail is called the Slick Rock Trail because it's sandstone, and when it's wet, which it isn't at the moment, it gets very, very slick and slippery. Again, I mentioned at the end of the last video, but each one of these parks is different to the previous one. This is called Canyonlands, obviously, because there are tons of canyons. There's one at the bottom here, you can't really see into it, but the sides, the colors in the stone, in the rock there, and the vista you get from the trail, just spectacular. Check out that balancing rock there. It's going to come down one day. It's a chilly day, it's only about 10-12 degrees, a slight wind, but clear blue skies, which make it ideal. Closer look at that canyon wall. Check out the swirls in the rocks. Now the colors change so subtly. And another view down, you can actually see down into the canyon now. It's not the Grand Canyon, it's not on that kind of scale, but it's still really pretty. This is the first of a number of viewpoints along this trail. I mean, you just look behind at the scenery here. Absolutely incredible. "360 degrees, you got something to look at." I'm gonna go away from selfie mode a bit so that you can get a better look. Those snow-capped mountains, or the La Salle Mountains, we saw them from the other side when I was in Arches. And apart from that, just, wow. What can I say? Look at the fins back there. Some of those a few of those have already developed into arches, and some will. I think there's one there. Yeah, that's about the limit of my zoom capability. And on I go. Once again, as I walk, I'm guided by the little piles of stone. There's one. There's the next one there. When you get to one, you can always see the next one. In addition to that, I do have a GPS on my phone, and I've got the trail on that. I can use that to navigate, and also it'll alert me if I go off the trail. But I haven't needed to use it so far because these cans have been well placed. This is a different canyon. Check out the colors of the wall in those rocks. And the snowy mountains in the background still. It's crazy to think that even though this area only gets 9 inches of rain a year, these canyons were sculpted by water. Now, what makes it possible, of course, is the number of years that the process has been going on, and also the fact that the rains come all at once, generally in the spring. And finally, it's not just rain washing things away, it's also water seeping into crevices, etc., and then freezing and expanding, and that speeds up the breaking apart of the rocks. And this is the result, something for us to enjoy. In between the canyons, you have these little, I don't know if you'd call them plains, where even though it's pretty much desert here, you can see from the amount of little water that does fall, quite a bit of life. Makes an interesting contrast with the dry vertical, although very colourful, canyon walls. And I just can't stop looking at the snow-covered peaks in the background of the La Salle Mountains. Fun fact, if you look at the cliff there, you see a grey level. Whoops, no, I can't show it. The camera focuses on my finger. That grey level kind of in the middle there. Well, that layer was formed because there used to be an inland sea here, and that is the remains of calcification of the shells, the bones of fish, etc., of basically of marine life. That's why you have that grey layer in the middle of the red. To give you an idea, the entire hike is above the rim of the canyon. I'm not walking in it, but what I'm walking on is this sandstone, which would be very slippery and wet. And all over the place, there's little pools of water, like this one here. And apparently there's quite a bit of life in them. You know, obviously some of them go dry, but a lot of them retain water almost year-round. The last part of the hike, when I was walking back, I didn't film because I met this couple on the trail and we were chatting, so I didn't film, but you definitely got the highlights. I'm doing a really short add-on to that trail called the Pothole Point Trail. It's more walking on sandstone between going from potholes and checking out the life there, and should be some good views as well. So, short trail, and that'll be it for today. I'm really close to where I did the last hike, but even so you can see that the scenery has changed. That area out there that I'm focusing on, that's called the Needles. Either tomorrow or the next day I'll get closer to that and talk about those for a little bit. And of course one more spectacular canyon to look at. The colours and the shapes and everything. Absolutely magnificent. So there are crustaceans and some type of shrimp living in these potholes. How the shrimp get to be at about 1,500 meters or 5,000 feet altitude, I have no idea. That was a nice little second hike for the day. I'm back at the parking lot. I might stop off at one overlook on the way back, and then it's off to the campsite. Hey, so I am back at the campground, and this one's also a bit different to ones I've stayed at before. Like the one I was at near Arches, I'm dry camping. In other words, I have no electrical, sewer, water hookups, but that's fine. I emptied my dirty tanks and filled my freshwater tank before I left Arches this morning. This camp is run by the Bureau of Land Management, and it's in a beautiful setting. Behind the camper, behind my site, there is a stream. Well, it's not flowing at the moment, but there's a river or stream there. I've got a nice size area with a picnic table at the back. That's my tablecloth and chair that I set up there. While I put it there, just you have a little note, that little yellow thing on the post. That's my confirmation that I've paid, etc., and that the site is occupied. But they also still recommend leaving something in the site when you go away, just so that people can see it's occupied. Now, over there you can see some other caravans. There's like a loop there, and there's about 30 or 40 feet space between each caravan on the loop. But there's one empty site over there that people aren't here at the moment, back there. And then, if I was spinning around, well, there's a toilet here which I have no intention of using, so it's not mine. But at the end there, you can see that like awning thing. There's a group site there if you have a group of people, but it doesn't seem to be occupied. And there's nothing on this side of me or on the other side of me, so it looks like hopefully it'll be nice. And as I said, as you can see from around, the setting is beautiful. Well, it's been a long morning with hiking and driving, etc. Now it's time for a nap. Good morning. It's just after 8 and I am about to start a 7-mile hike, which apparently it's a loop trail. It's got ups and downs and is a little bit challenging, but I'm feeling fitter and it's supposed to be good. So let's get started. The hike starts off in a valley, so I think I'm going to be doing a little bit of climbing today, because we're obviously not going to stay in this valley. There's supposed to be some good views, and good views means high up. I must say, this does feel a little bit like walking through the bush in Africa. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm only a kilometer or less than a kilometer in, and already the scenery is quite spectacular. I'm on top of the canyon. You've got these potholes here that I spoke about yesterday, the mountains in the distance, and the canyon floor down below. Turn around, looking behind me from where I came. I'm parked this side of that big rock, starting the descent into the canyon, guided by the ever-present. So I was up there on that ridge, came down into the canyon, into the grassland, felt below, walked across. Now I think somehow or other I'm going to have to get up. The path will lead me up there, on top for a little bit, and then down into another valley, I think. Actually, I think it's taking me in a path through the canyon, through the walls into the next canyon. It's really nice walking in the shade beneath these pillars. They must be 30, 40, 50 yards high. Now walking through what is called Squaw Canyon, and I can tell by how overgrown the trail is that not too many people come this way. Still in Squaw Canyon, but it has opened up a bit, and it's a really, really nice trail. It's not one of those trails that we have these, oh my god, wow, stunningly beautiful moments. Well, at least not so far. But it's just nice all the way through. The anticipated climb out of the canyon just happened. I was all the way down there. And Katie comes scrambling up these boulders here. And I'm now nearly at the top. This is almost the halfway mark of the hike, I think, although I'm not sure that for the rest of the hike I'll be up above. We'll see. So I was wrong. There is a wow moment for this hike. Now that I'm up above, hoping of course that I don't have to climb up there. I have to admit there were a couple of scary moments climbing up here where it was quite steep on the rock, but I've got good hiking boots and they gripped well and I made it. So I'm about at the halfway mark now. Let me carry on. Well, I was wrong once again. After reaching the top of that boulder there, I actually did have to come down again, which is quite scary in places. I am now near the canyon bottom, I hope, and I'm on a path which I can tell from my GPS, which is leading me back towards the start of the trail, although I still have quite a way to go. Check out the colors in this canyon wall. Pretty neat. 11 kilometers down, about 2 to go, and I'm back to walking through the South African-like bush, which I think is a sign that the hike is nearly over. Really nice hike, not easy, not those wow spectacular moments, or not so much, but pretty nice all the way through. I made another stop, short stop, doing a half-kilometer trail to this structure here, which was a storeroom used by Native Americans who lived here, farmed here until the late 13th century, when it started to get, the climate started to change. You know, they built these structures hidden in cliffs in order to store either food or ceremonial items, apparently. Hey, so it's the end of my second day here at Canyonlands. I'm at the campsite. I've got a table and chair here overlooking the creek behind me and the mountains, the sun setting, and it's just an amazing quiet time to sit and have a drink and think about what I saw today, what I did. That hike this morning with some of the climbs was fairly challenging, and there were some steep slopes that I had to scramble up, and I won't lie to you, I'm not a fan of heights, but it was a big sense of achievement having done it. I'm not sure I want to push myself like that much more, but it was good. It's quiet now. What's the time? It's nearly 6. In a few minutes I'll go and sit and edit the video for today. What I do is each day I edit what I've taken, the clips that I've taken that day, and add music and titles where necessary, and make a movie of that day. So I've got a movie of yesterday from Canyonlands already. I'll have today, and then I'll have tomorrow, and then the next morning so I'll have 4 different movies, and then all I do is just add them together, and then I will post them as soon as I have internet. I'm still trying to find internet in order to post my video from Arches. Hopefully that'll happen. Well, it won't happen tomorrow because there's no usable internet in Canyonlands except a very weak signal just outside the visitor center. So hopefully when I leave Canyonlands, I'll be able to upload that video, and then a day or 2 later I'll upload this one. So it's just an awesome experience being here. And from the camper, if I sit inside the camper, I get a view of the mountains here, and you can just get the last sun of the day capturing the top of the mountains there. It's just a magic place. And as I said, here's my picnic table with my comfy chair, and it's just really nice sitting here enjoying the last light of the day. So tomorrow will be another day, and I'll see you then. Good morning. Morning of my third and final day in Canyonlands. I came down quite a sketchy 3-mile gravel road in order to get to the start of this hike to the Chester viewpoint. It's 3 miles in, 3 miles out. So hopefully the view gave some nice views along the way, and should get a good view of the Needles, which is quite an attraction in the area. Quite the climb to start this hike. The first 200 yards climbed from way up down in the parking lot there, out of the canyon. That was some climb, but from here it's quite the view all round. This hike has kind of got everything from the fun up there down into the valley or the canyon, and then the snow-clad mountains, snow-capped mountains in the distance. Each time I'm about to drop into another canyon, I have to stop and look at the view, which is breathtaking each and every time. So I'm approaching what are called the Needles. They all seem to be to wash away in the same direction. So they all seem to erode in the same direction. So from one point on, they're kind of like me. From a distance, from the right angle, looks very thin, but as you get closer, not so much. They're massive, and it's a phenomenon I don't think you find anywhere else except here. It's really cool how you walk through this narrow canyon. I mean, it's not claustrophobic or anything. You can see the end, but it's pretty high. Anyway, something very different. One of many different things on this hike. Yeah, this trail is definitely something special. Descending down to the canyon bottom again. And it is red. No sooner do I get to the bottom of one canyon, then it's time to start climbing up again. Fun times. This has been the climb up out of the canyon. Started all the way down there, and I'm really high up. Most of those Needles over there, I'm looking down on them. Phew. So this is the end point of the hike. After that massive climb, I'm in something called the saddle, and I have this view out over this grass or green meadow with surrounded by the Needles. There's one Needle and there's another one there, and I came up between the two to this panorama. So I'm going to rest here. This is 5 kilometers, 5.2 kilometers in, and it'll be the same out. Hey, so I have to say that hike, it was 10 kilometers. It wasn't the longest hike I've done, but it was probably the most strenuous, because 80% of the time was either climbing up or down. And they weren't gentle slopes for the most part. So kind of wiped out. That'll be my only hike for the day. Also, you might be able to hear it. The wind has come up and is howling outside, so it's not the best weather for hiking. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be leaving here. I'll be stopping off in a town about 50 miles away to do laundry, a couple other things before moving on to my next site. But just outside the camp, there's one more site I'm going to show, which will be included, which you'll see in a next. So, but for today, that's it. The hiking in Canyonlands has been very different, because in other camps, in other parks, if you had like, wow, oh my God, moments every 10 seconds, here the beauty was continuous but more subtle, and it was nice. And keeping up with every single national park being different, which I love. It means I'm not getting tired of it. I'm getting closer to the halfway stage of the trip, which I can't believe, but more about that in a later video. So that's it for today. Hi, so it's about 8:15 a.m. I'm heading out from Canyonlands to my next destination. I stopped off at something called Newspaper Rock, which is behind me, and I'll show you, give you a better look in a sec. The drawings here range, most of them were from 700 BCE to about 1300 Common Era, and a few are additions by later Native Americans and even Europeans. According to the information board here, the archaeologists have not been able to decipher much from this, and they suspect that the reason that it's so difficult is that it's many different cultures and not one. So something that's put here by one culture might mean one thing, and something by a different culture might mean something else. But it's pretty neat.